Why should everybody learn Proverbs? We are living in the greatest time in human history that decentralization of information is happening at sporadic rate. We are living in a time that at a click of a button, you can go online and learn for free things that can change every area of your life: business, career, vocation, relationships. We are living in a time that if you don't like the direction your career is taking, you can change it merely by advancing attention and curiosity. We are living at a time that the line of divide between access to information has been reduced. We are also living in a time that is quite dangerous, that today at a click of a button, you can expose yourself to evil. So as an individual, we constantly need that awareness to assess, whom am I opening myself to? Whom am I giving that privilege to speak into my life, to inform my decision making? That duty you cannot suspend onto someone else. You cannot suspend that duty to companies that manage social media. That duty is on your shoulders. That duty is on my shoulders. Words are not just words. Christ simplified it for us when he said, "These words that I speak to you, they are life and they are spirit." There are chances also that there are words that are spoken over you that are spirit, but they are death. There are lives that are spoken to you that they are not only spirit, but they can shape your life and throw you in spaces that you didn't want to. It is important for us to analyze that whenever you're opening up yourself to someone, from what spirit are they speaking? We were warned that test the spirits. It's your duty as well as mine to constantly test the spirits. We are living in a time that word spirit is a buzzword. What is your spirit? You can manage your spirit. So it is important that even as we open ourselves to individuals to speak over us, we need to be quite categorical that I'm not comfortable giving myself access to such an individual. I want you to understand, information liberates. Information also defiles. Information can bind an individual. Information can set you free. So it's important to understand that whenever you open up yourself to people to influence you, to influence your thought patterns with their words, it is important to assess from what spirit do they speak. It reminds me of an incident that one of the days we were coming from church, and I'm Catholic, and this priest wanted to, lay his hands on my child. And I was like, no, 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 Father, please don't. And the guy was disturbed. He asked me, why not? And I told the gentleman, I don't know your spirit. I don't know what you're carrying. And I didn't mean it disrespectfully, but it is just the truth. Most of us, we are carrying possession. We are carrying impartations that we don't know where we picked up. Someone laid their hands on you. Someone transferred that impartation to you by mere handshake. We are warned that sometimes we should not even be easy to shake other people's hands because we don't know what defiled their clothes to begin with. So it is important that we go through this day. We navigate our times with that awareness that the level of access has been so reduced. So whenever we want to study Proverbs, the question is, why should I read Proverbs? If you're ever wondering why you should read Proverbs, then Proverbs chapter 1 verse 1 answers that. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel. Just in case you're wondering the reputation of this individual, just in case you're wondering the CV, the credibility of this individual, he has said, I am Solomon. And just in case you might be wondering which Solomon, the son of David. There might be a David in your village. There might be a David in your family. So just to be sure that it's not the David in your village or in your family, he's saying, I am the son of David, king of Israel. So Solomon is laying his credibility, his trust that I am Solomon, I come from good stock. I am Solomon, I come from good spirit. It's very important as an individual also to assess the same for you. The person I'm opening up myself to, what is their credibility? The individual I'm allowing to inform my thought patterns, I'm allowing to utter words into my spirit. And we have noticed that words are spirit and they are life, or words are spirit and they can be death. So Solomon is telling us, I am Solomon, I'm the son of David, who is the king of Israel. So David was the king of Israel, and Solomon succeeded David to be the king of Israel. So Solomon is giving us that consolation, that comfort, that I'm talking to you from a good stock. So why are Proverbs important? Because he tells us that Proverbs will help men to appreciate wisdom and discipline. In any area of life, you require wisdom. But wisdom does not walk solitary. Wisdom is constantly accompanied by discipline. Wisdom in career will be accompanied by discipline in an area. Wisdom in marriage will be accompanied by a discipline in an area. So we cannot divorce wisdom from discipline. So Solomon says that when you have read these proverbs, you are bound to come up with understanding that tight interplay between wisdom and discipline, that you may understand intelligence and words of intelligence. It is important for us to understand that he has laid that foundation, that if you're interested in wisdom, chances are you're going to locate wisdom when you are going through these proverbs. In the full breadth of these proverbs, you will come out with wisdom. In verse 3, he says that you may receive training in wise conduct. It is not only enough to have wisdom, but are your conduct also wise? That unwise individual should conduct themselves wisely. A wise lawyer should conduct himself or herself wisely. A wise such and such should conduct themselves wisely. There is an acceptable range of conduct, and that acceptable range of conduct is wise conduct in what is right, just, and honest. So just in case you're asking, what is wise conduct? He helps us by understanding that there are only three parameters that we can gauge wise conduct. And he says that when things are right, I am known for helping people distinguish that whenever you're faced with good and right, always go for right. Because right does not change. Good changes sometimes. When you're looking at just and fair, always go for just. It's one of those things that I always tell people, that God is never fair, but God is just. He is just in this way. He allows his sun to come down and shine on the good and the evil. That is just. He allows his rain to come on the good and the evil. That is just. So Solomon is telling us, do you want to know what is a wise conduct? When you're constantly looking for what is just in all your dealings, in your marriage, in your business, in your career, when you're constantly looking for what is right, you have set yourself and you have put yourself in the space of wise conduct. And he tells us to make you honest. Honesty is something that is in deficient supply in our time. It's in rare supply, honesty. So Solomon tells us that by the time you are through with listening to Proverbs, you will arrive at that. And then he says that the resourcefulness may be imparted to the simple. It is important to understand that when he uses that word simple, he's not talking of humility. Solomon is making reference to individuals that are not humble, but them being simple, they are naive. So Solomon tells us that the reason why I compiled this volume and called it Proverbs, not all the Proverbs were written by Solomon, but a large part of Proverbs were written and compiled by Solomon. And he says the reason why I did that was to help those who are naive. We are living in times that we are naive in different areas. You can be very good in career, but naive in relationships. You can be very good in relationships, but naive in dealings at the marketplace. So Solomon says that if there is something that you and I ought to limit is the extent of our naivety. And Solomon says that you lose naivety by your level of resourcefulness. How resourceful are you? Can you be of use? And how is that space? How can we stretch your usefulness? Solomon says that he's going to help us to improve our naivety. To the young man, knowledge and discretion. What is discretion? Discretion is a restraint that an individual has over his action, has over his words. I'm known for saying this. The mere fact you have something to say does not mean you should say it. The mere fact you have something to do, you can find something to do, does not mean that you should do it. The mere fact you're justified to act on a particular way does not mean that you should act on that particular way. It is very important to understand that the thing that distinguishes men from boys is discretion. A man will know when to do such a thing. A young boy will not know the difference. So Solomon says that one of the ways of improving naivety in your resourcefulness is be resourceful in knowledge. And that knowledge should give you discretion. Discretion is the restraint that you have. That restraint not to vent out when you feel like venting out. That restraint not to spend when you feel like spending. That restraint not to do something when you feel justified to do it. The fifth one, he says, a wise man by hearing them will advance in learning. So Solomon assures us that if you go through this Proverbs, it is better if you start it when you have an attitude of wisdom. Wisdom at some point is an attitude. The individual that is constantly wishing to learn. You can learn to the extent of how you open up yourself to learn. So Solomon says, if you might have started from that attitude of wisdom, then you are going to increase in learning. An intelligent man will gain sound guidance, that he may comprehend proverb and parable and the words of the wise and their riddles. So it's very important, particularly in our time, that we need to look at. We need to constantly differentiate ourselves. Why do we rely on Solomon? I always tell people that if you want to ask yourself, whom should I listen to? Try and listen to someone who has a track record. A track record of wisdom, a track record of success, and his fair share of mistakes. I tend not to trust people who don't expose their mistakes to me. If you're not strong enough, mature enough to tell me, Mr. Ogwang, these are my areas of mistakes, you're such a dangerous person to attend to. And that is why Solomon does not shy away from easily telling us that I have made my fair share of mistakes. I am Solomon. I have made my fair shares of mistakes, but also I have my fair share of successes. My name is Ogwang. Allow me to encourage you to regularly going through Proverbs. There are only 31 Proverbs, which means a day you can go through a chapter of Proverbs, and you will see how that book will influence your reasoning, will influence your conduct, will influence your mannerisms, your habits, how that book is going to influence your conversations. My name is Ogwang, and this is Proverb Wednesdays. I will see you in the next one. And just in case I might have missed on something, I welcome to interact with you in the comment section. Until then, take care, God bless, and bye-bye.